Alexa want to play the guitar in here. Maybe she'll sing for us. I don't know. Remember Dewey? Alright, well, I'll do some singing now, alright? Alright. It's all the same. Yeah, old names change every day. Seems we don't stand away. Know the place where the faces are so cold. I drive all night just to get back home. Yeah, I'm a cowboy. Still won't stop riding. Oh, yeah. Get more alive. Oh, yeah. Get more alive. Sometimes I sleep, wasting time and night for days. The people I meet always go their separate ways. Yeah, time to tell me by the bottle that you drank. Times when you're alone, all you do is think. Yeah, I'm a cowboy. On a steel horse I ride. Oh, yeah. Get alive. Oh, together, miles apart side. Something I did, I said, those nights come out alright. We tried not to hurt you, we tried. That's why Rose has his home. Almost looks like you about ready to take a little nap ski. You napping on me, Lori? Oh, you're just listening to the music. Getting a little emotional over there. Don't worry, sweetie. Tear 'cause I'm missing you. Still alright to smile. I think about you every day now. There was a time when I wasn't sure, but still minded. There's no doubt you're in my heart now. Say sugar, take the time. The lights shine so bright. You, I just need a little patience. straight to sleep on me. Well, might as well pause it since I done lullabied you straight to sleep, I guess. Temporary pause. All right. Well, in the miracle of time, I went from playing guitar, which put Lori straight to sleep, to finishing up this book called Dalton's Justice. That's right. We're going to get there now. This is the last chapter. Dalton arrived at the ranch just after sundown and immediately went in search of Raph Bailey. I think we got trouble coming, he said. After finding him in the barn, bottle feeding a prematurely born calf. He quickly recounted the murders that had occurred. The only reason I could figure for Abernathy not also being killed, that they had some use for him. Either that, or he was in on it from the beginning. He asked if any of the ranch hands had disappeared recently. Things have been pretty normal here since the colonel was locked up. Everybody seems happy to be back cowboying like they hired on to do. Mr. Profer spoke to the bank and arranged some of Abernathy's money to be released to pay wages and take care of whatever necessary to keep the ranch from running. Mind you, we've had some sorry folks come through here in my time, he continued, but I'm hard pressed to call a name of anybody who would help the Abernathy out of the goodness of his heart. Now, if he was offering money, that's a different matter. Anybody come to mind? Probably about half of those have hightailed it back when the colonel started talking about coming after you and your friends. The ones that jumped to mind are the Sloan boys, brothers lacking in good sense and willing to do anything for $1. They're the ones that paid to kidnap that little boy and cut Brett St. John's throat while doing it, then added. I expect they've done that without a minute's regret. Gotta be them, Dalton said. Somehow, they're figuring on getting a big payday from the colonel, either for setting them free or by threatening them. Whatever the reason, they're headed here because this is where Abernathy's likely left some money. Ben felt comfortable talking freely with Bailey. Aside from the afternoon, he got stumbling drunk, decided to shoot up the livery. He had never seen the problem maker. When they faced off near the roadhouse, it had been obvious he wasn't interested in the shootout. And since then, he worked hard to see that everything at the ranch went smoothly. When do you expect they'll be coming, he said. Should be as soon if this is where they're headed. I was thinking about settling into your loft and keeping an eye out. I'll fetch us a spyglass and keep you company, Bailey said. The closer they got to the shooting star, the more Abernathy's mood seemed to improve. When they reached the edge of the far pasture, saw a cattle grazing in the late morning sun, he clapped his hands and let out a yell. Ain't that a pretty sight? He said. It's mighty good to be home. Where's the money? Claude said. Be patient, I'll show you, but first let us get something to eat. I also got tequila. It's hid away, same as your money. No need for you boys to be impatient. On the distant horizon, Dalton saw the 3 riders approaching. That's got to be them, he said. As Bailey began to raise his rifle, Ben put his hand to the barrel, pushing it down. I'll be doing the killing, he said. He climbed from the loft and led Dolly into the soft safety of an empty stall, then found her a bucket of oats. That done, he placed Langston's Winchester on his shoulder and walked slowly to the front porch of the ranch house, took a seat in the colonel's favorite chair, and waited. The colonel's maid opened the front door slightly and peeked outside. Seeing the man with the rifle, she quickly closed it and hurried to the kitchen to warn the cook. Bailey went inside the bunkhouse to instruct his men to remain inside. As Dalton sat, his rage, unlike anything he ever felt, returned. He pictured Sheriff Langston lying dead in a strange place, his final dream shattered. Saw the little Alton boy, scared and calling for his mother as he was taken away. The child's father, brutally beaten and blamed for a crime he had nothing to do with, and a Brett St. John losing his life for doing nothing more than trying to protect others. An eerie calm fell over the compound as Ben waited the sound of men arriving. He watched as a mother hen and her chicks stopped chasing garden bugs and scurried under the porch. Drying bed sheets on the nearby clothesline made a soft snapping sound as they were whipped by the breeze. His finger already lightly pressed against the trigger, his thoughts went back to the conversation he had with Mandy. The last request she made of him. Kill him, she said. Mandy's pissed at that guy. Gotta kill him.
All we need.
Right. Bailey stepped onto the porch carrying a rifle he brought from the bunkhouse. This isn't your fight, Dalton said. I figure maybe it is, he replied. It's time this mess of Colonel started coming to an end so everyone could get on with their lives. Three riders were in high spirits as they looked their horses toward the ranch house. Abernathy was laughing, his pain briefly forgotten. The brothers chattered away, excited in the knowledge that they were close to their money. They all felt silent as they arrived at the hitching post. Claude was the first to see the two men and reach for his pistol. He didn't even get it out of his holster before the crack of a rifle shot fractured the morning calm. His hat flew away and his frightened horse reared, pitching him to the ground. His blood streamed from his chest. He struggled to his knees and tried again to get a grip on his sidearm. It fell from his hand, and Bailey's second shot found his mark just below his neck. The other horses were stomping the ground and bumping into each other as Dalton called out to Abernathy. Good seeing you again, Colonel. As he spoke, Calvin Sloan fired a shot that zinged past his ear and buried into the front door. Bailey aimed to return fire but was distracted for a split second by the sudden sound of a fast approaching buggy, driver yelling at the top of his voice. Sloan fired a second shot that ripped part of Raff's shirt sleeve away as it grazed his shoulder and knocked his rifle from his hands. Dalton stepped forward to shield him and return Sloan's fire. His bullet hit Calvin in the face, causing a spray of teeth and blood. He was dead before he slumped forward in his saddle and slowly toppled onto the body of his dead brother. In the brief moment of confusion caused by the buggy, the colonel kneed his horse and was galloping toward the open door of the barn. Ben aimed his rifle again, but didn't have a clear shot because of the frightened horses in the way. As Abernathy limped into the darkness, the buggy came to a jerking halt in front of the porch. Duke Keenan stepped down and looked at the Sloan brothers. Good riddance, he said, as he stepped over their bodies. After getting your telegram, I started trying to figure where you might be headed. Looks like I guessed right. He was carrying a shotgun. How many's left? Just the colonel, Dalton said. Duke smiled and nodded his head. There are three of us and just one of him. This will be easy. He was wrapping a bandana around Bailey's injured arm as he spoke. Just a scratch, he said. I've seen way worse. He's got weapons in there, Raff said. Rifles, shotguns, and a barrel filled with ammunition. If we hadn't already done it once, I suggest we just set the building on fire, Duke said. He barely finished his sentence when a shotgun blast came from the loft, tearing a large hole in the awning of the buggy. Mr. Prover ain't going to be happy about that, Duke said. I brought it to get out here. Lanny and John Rawlings took my wagon to go get the sheriff like you asked. Mrs. Rawlings is talking with the preacher about setting up a funeral service. Two rifle bullets buried under the porch railing. We need cover, Dalton said, motioning toward the front door. Moving inside and peering from a window. They could see the advantage Abernathy had. From the perch, there was a panoramic view of the compound. Reckon he's crazy enough to think he can shoot his way out of this, Bailey said. From across the way, Abernathy answered his question. I'm knowing I'm going to die before the day is done, he shouted from the loft. But it'll not be in your hands, Ben Dalton. I'll not give you that satisfaction. As he spoke, Ranch hands began cautiously making their way out of the bunkhouse, weapons in hand, preparing to surround the barn. I just got even better, King said. Doesn't appear the colonel has many friends, does it? Bailey looked over at Dalton. What's your thinking? Let's just wait for a spell. If he doesn't come to his senses and decide to walk himself up, I'll go in and get him. No way he's getting away again. There was a casual shot from the loft. Both the colonel and the men waiting in his house seemed satisfied just to let time pass. The day dragged by mid-afternoon. Dalton suggested they alternate watching the bar napping. He took the first watch and never surrendered it. The only kind of tired I have is the one you get from sitting, doing nothing. The cook shyly peeked out from his kitchen, holding a tray of sandwiches, cups, and coffee pot. Duke got to his feet and went to take it from her. Dalton aimed at a small iron bell hanging over the opening of the loft, fired off a series of quick shots. "Don't want them dozing off," he said, as it sounded for a moment like church services were about to begin. Keene nodded his approval and handed him a sandwich. By dusk, some frustration had set in. "The old fool's just sitting up there, waiting to get himself killed," Bailey said. "I think about time we accommodate him. I don't want this going on into the night." Dalton got to his feet, kept his attention for a few minutes. He said as he handed his rifle to Duke. "Use this instead of your shotgun," he said. He explained that while they were peppered the loft with shots, he would make his way out the back door and try to get to the side of the bunkhouse without being noticed. "Once I get that far, I can ask for cover from some of your cowboys. Think you get a better shot from over there?" "Nope, but it's the best way I can think of to get in the barn. Then it'll just be him and me." Inside, Dalton knelt behind a feed barrel to let his eyes adjust in the darkness. The only sound came from Abernathy's banded horse, chomping at a bale of hay. In the stall across the way, Ben saw Dolly nuzzling the oats that he left her. The rafters were empty and silent since the pigeons swiftly deserted their roosts when the gunfire began. Only when a volley of shots came from the house, answered by a shotgun blast from above, was Dalton certain of the colonel's location. Seated to the side of the door, behind the barricade of heavy hay bales he'd hastily fashioned, Abernathy alternatively rubbed his swollen head and took quick looks toward the house. Beside him were several long guns and a bucket filled with bullets and shotgun shells. The effort of arranging the bales and rising heat inside had bathed in sweat. Pains were shooting through his wounded leg. Parched from the lack of water, he still managed a hoarse curse when he saw the cowhands leaving the bunkhouse to circle the barn. He was resigned to his fate, but determined to have one last taste of revenge before dying, unaware that the focus of his anger was waiting below. Dalton was struggling to decide his next move. He counted the rungs on the ladder leading to the loft, aware that he would be vulnerable should the colonel hear him approaching. He holstered his peacemaker and again, making sure it was fully loaded, began taking off his boots. He also removed his hat. Certain Abernathy would not come to him. He would have to confront him in the loft. When several more shots came from the house, he left his hiding place, hurried to the bottom of the ladder. Above, he could hear the colonel mumbling to himself as he reloaded one of his rifles. In his socked feet, Dalton climbed a few careful steps at a time, only when there was gunfire from Bailey and Keene. After several minutes, he reached a position where the floor was at eye level and he could see Abernathy's back. Excuse me. His attention focused on the house. The loft was filled with stored hay that would offer Ben some measure of protection if he could reach one of the stacks. He ducked back below the loft door level and waited for another exchange of fire. Instead, the next sound he heard was the colonel's voice. Rising to his feet, Abernathy cupped his hands to his mouth and shouted, "Dalton, show your stuff. I'll make you a proposition. Let's say we both walk out on the open where we can face one another. Best shooter wins. Simple as that." Then there was a spate of maniacal laughter. As he was calling out a challenge, Dalton quickly climbed the floor and loft and moved behind a stack of hay bales. Their sweet scent mixed with the smell of smoke and gunpowder. "I'm here waiting," the colonel said as he aimed his rifle at the doorway of the house, hoping the target would emerge. "Come on out and we'll get this done with." He had no intention of it being a fair fight. Dalton got to his feet, now no more than 10 feet from Abernathy. "Let's just do it right here," he said. Startled Colonel turned and fired toward the sound of the familiar voice. His shot nowhere close to doing harm. He ducked behind his barricade before Dalton could shoot back. As soon as they heard Abernathy shoot, Bailey and Keene stepped out onto the porch and began firing repeatedly. Raph yelled at the ranch hands who were huddled behind water troughs in a nearby cistern. "Go, go, go," he yelled, and then returned to shooting in the direction of the loft. The cowboys rushed into the barn, pointing their guns in all directions before realizing that Dalton and the colonel were above them. "Colonel," one of the hands called out, "you got no chance. There's guns pointed at you from everywhere you're inclined to look." For emphasis, he fired a shot into the floor of the loft. Abernathy replied by putting the barrel of the shotgun against the floor and blowing a sizable hole through which you could see some of the men whose salaries he once paid. "You're traitors, everyone!" he yelled as he fired a second shot. Then he was suddenly on his feet, standing with his back to the door, feet spread wide, looking towards where Dalton was hidden. There was a calm, almost angelic expression on his sweat-drenched face. "I'm feeling mighty tired," he said, "and I'm ready for this to end. I figure you are as well. But notice, Ben Dalton, I got no apologies. Things I've done. Look at this ranch. All the fine cattle. My house, I made more money than you'll ever see. I did myself proud getting all this together. My life was good and getting better. And then you came and ruined it. Came from God knows where just to give me all this misery. Now you're here, wanting to kill me. And I'll not allow that to happen." Dalton had moved from behind the hay bales, his eyes fixed on the colonel's shotgun, which was pointed in his direction. He didn't see the handgun until Abernathy lifted it from the side, placed it against his temple, and pulled the trigger. For a moment, everything moved in slow motion. The colonel briefly remained upright as his pistol fell from his hand. Then he began to gently sway. Finally, he slowly fell into open space. Duke Keene was among the first to reach the body. "He died just like the sorry coward he was," he said. Then looked up at the doorway and loft where Dalton was standing. "Come on down, let's go home," delivery order said. "I got some explaining to do to Mr. Profer about the roof of his buggy." For some time, Dalton didn't move, unsure about how he felt about what had just happened. There was a calming evening breeze on his face, and he slowly holstered his pistol. He watched as Bailey and the cowhands gathered around the colonel's twisted body, talking in low whispers. The cook and the maid left the porch to join him. It would be a while before he would know if he'd accomplished what he set out to do when he answered Mandy's call for help. All he knew at the moment was that it was finally over. For the time being, that would have to be enough. So, dang, that's an anticlimactic. Dude, the Abernathy done blew his own nugget straight out the side of his other side. Dang. You know, with Ben Dalton, he got away with not having to kill a whole bunch of people. He didn't really do a lot of killing. Alright. Here's the epilogue. God damn. Despite Duke's urging, Ben decided not to accompany him back to Fort Worth. He had already said his goodbyes before leaving on the ill-fated trip to Austin, and now he was more anxious than ever to get back home to Aberdeen. If he learned anything for certain, it was that he had no business being in a big city. His thoughts had begun to turn to the farm and his dog Pancho, and how his deputy, Rolly Blair, had fared in his absence. He was strongly considering offering him a job permanently, maybe to raise a few goats himself in honor of Sheriff Langston. He felt a twinge of guilt not staying to attend the funeral, but decided he'd rather remember his friend as he was in life. When Duke was climbing into the buggy to leave the Shooting Star, Ben pulled the sheriff's badge from his pocket and requested it be placed in Lance's casket. The following morning, he and Dolly made their way into the open range. He reflected upon the people who had recently come to his life, not Colonel Abernathy and his kind, but those for whom he had developed strong feelings. Duke, with his cranky wit and kind-heartedness, would be impossible to forget. Same with the fancy-talking Shelby Pulver, innocent young Lanny who once saved his life, and Anson Kelly, whom he judged to be a better lawman than he could ever be. He was pleased that he had rekindled his friendship with John Roy and had gotten to know little Elton, who he was sure would grow up to be a good master for two. The dog. Remember the dog. That lady got mad about that dog. She's still blaming Abernathy. And of course, there was Mandy. He needed only to close his eyes to see her face, to again feel her close to him on that summer evening when they had danced. He reached to touch a pocket where he carried her dagger. That too would have to be enough. Ta-da! The end. We finally finished the book. Man. Wow, that took forever, I swear. That was a long time reading. All right, I put this book on. I put the thing on pause. Pause on it. Pause. Well, with a miracle of time, we might as well continue the jam. We read through that whole Western. Play a little bit of music now, I guess. On the desert highway, cool wind in my hair, the warm smell of colitas rising up through the air. Up ahead, there's stone, saw a shimmering line. Head grew heavy and my sight grew dim. Had to stop for the night. You alright, sweetie? Why are you shaking so much? Just relax. Just relax. Don't try to do nothing, sweetie. Just relax. Oh, boy. Give me a smile, Lori.
Okay.
See you better.
Are you holding?
Good, we got your back better. All right.